joining our webinar. Today we have the honor of having a conversation with Rafael Padilha, who is the Director of Reliability and Continuous Improvement at our customer Ingredion. Now, Ingredion is a global food company and SIGA customer in Europe, Asia, North America, and Latin America. Rafael is an expert in all things EAM, and he'll share some examples from his operations that show how being strategic about maintenance generates business results. We also, of course, have Romeo Sciatta, Executive Vice President and co-founder of SIGA Technologies. And I am Bulky Bartz. I'm Vice President of Sales North America at SIGA, and I will be your moderator today. As a thank you for all our viewers, we are sharing a case study about cost reduction and streamlining asset management operations at a global food processing company. So to download, check the link in our video description and also in our comments section. So let's, without further ado, let's dive right in. Rafael, thank you again for joining us this morning. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this invitation. Glad to be here and share my experience with you guys. Well, I'm Bachelor Engineering in Electrical and Electronics, and I first start my job history working for Ambev. That's part of ABI Group in the breweries. I started as automation and electrical supervisor, and then I had the opportunity to move and work in 5 different plants all over Brazil, passing for all the positions inside maintenance and utilities. I had the opportunity to be the planning and control manager for maintenance, utilities manager, working with all the maintenance in utilities, mechanical and electrical. Then I became the engineering manager for 2 plants in the south of Brazil, one soft drink plant, and then we started a greenfield with one of the largest beers in Brazil. So it was a very good experience, though. After Ambev, I moved to Unilever as engineering, maintenance, environment manager, and utilities manager. I had the opportunity to work for 3 years at Unilever, and there I had the opportunity of knowing world-class manufacturing methodology, which in my opinion is a very clever methodology that brings the concept of continuous improvement in all the operation area. After Unilever, I had the opportunity to come to Ingredion, such as reliability manager for South America. Then I could join the knowledge I gained working with WCM, the knowledge I gained by the time I was working at the brewery, the knowledge I gained in a benchmark I did at Budweiser in St. Louis, and then I created the reliability pillar for Ingredion, and after 2 years, I assumed the position of continuous improvement and reliability director. That's a bit of my experience.
Thank you. Thank you. You do have extensive experience in the area of EAM. Rafael, what would you consider your key accomplishments at Ingredion?
When I first started Ingredion, we had several plants for South America, and all the plants were speaking different languages in terms of reliability. So inside Brazil, we had different concepts, different work plans, different level of knowledge, and basically we're still living the maintenance concept of the 60. So we are very delayed in terms of reliability. The concept of breaks repair is still very strong, and I had to change this and bring the reliability concept for Ingredion to the 20s, if I can say this way. So I first start working and construct all the process in terms of asset hierarchy, maintenance plan creation, short-term, mid-term, and long-term planning, scheduling process, RCAs, start the concept of capex for reliability, 5S things, and we've constructed this reliability pillar, which is a book, more than 200-page book with a very strong process, and rapidly, in a very quickly way, we start bringing the concept of reliability to the 20s, and in 3 years we were able to move 20, 30 years, and now we have a process much more stable. This year now the volumes are very high, and we are breaking several records. So I'm very proud of those accomplishments. We are living this moment.
Great, thank you for sharing that. What are Ingredion's manufacturing and production structure in regards to plants and production sites? Would you be able to share that with us?
Okay, we have here in South America, we have 4 plants in Brazil, 2 plants in Argentina, 4 plants in Colombia, and 1 plant in Lima. That's a bit our manufacturing structure. All of them were not standardized in terms of asset management. So the SAP for each other, it was one single SAP, but the assets were not following the same structures. The information inside the SAP didn't help us for anything, but we didn't have this culture of using the SAP, and lots of because of the difficulties of using SAP on a daily basis, and also because lots of managers and people at this time didn't understand that reliability is information, and if you want to improve, you have to have information inside your SAP in order to look at the loss in a very precisely way and understand the loss. Because if you want to solve a loss, 99% of the path is understand the loss. Once you understand the loss is solved. It's a matter of time to solve this loss. And in my experience, 95% of the folks who works in maintenance and reliability, they don't understand this, that they have to put lots of strength in identify the loss correctly. And this is the main drive I'm driving here in order to improve in a different speed. So it's a bit of our structure here. And
it's interesting you've mentioned this, Rafael, because we hear a lot about reliability, right? So there's a lot of concepts out there, but my perception is that very few companies are really applying reliability to their business in the core, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, it's quite hard to implement reliability, especially when you don't have the management of your process in a very good basis, if I can say this way. Imagine you have to produce, you don't have your maintenance plans, you don't have your procedures, you don't have, your people are used to repair, not to maintain. So how to convince your plant manager or your operation director that you have to stop the asset which is producing right now very well, to maintain and generating a risk. Because in all the plants I've passed, all my experience, when you start to do the preventive maintenance, everything you don't want happens because you're missing the planning process. But you have to do this. It's kind of a breakthrough, an inflection in your management process, because you have to create the reliability culture and the preventive culture. If you're not creating this culture, this mindset in your technicians, this mindset in your operators, this mindset in your manager, hardly ever you're gonna accomplish reliability for your assets.
Thank you. I know there were some operational challenges that you did face. Can you tell us what some of the main ones were?
Well, in terms of challenge, first of all, there's no a main drive in terms of reliability in the global region or local. So as I told you before, this lack of guideline was making everyone work in their path and not always the most I don't feel comfortable to say the most correct way of doing the things, but it's like we're in a business thing. So everything we're doing in reliability must have an ROE, must have a return, must have a financial benefit. So sometimes the guys were implementing things that the benefits are not good. And we had, for example, our plant in Colombia, Cali, who had TPM for 15 years, and they didn't have the maintenance plans inside the SAP. They didn't have the maintenance plans based on FIMEAs. So what you're doing with TPM, we're just presenting for the auditors. So you're not bringing results to the company. They were talking about statistics, but they didn't understand that the information they have there, the amortized space is not valid because the information is poor of quality. So we had to, okay, you want to implement reliability? Let's start with 5S. I want 5S. I want you with written and discipline to start and do the basic things right. If you don't have your maintenance shop floor the best place in the plant, you won't be able to apply reliability. Don't come to talk to me about statistics and everything else. You don't know what you're talking about. You have to do the basics right. You have to solve the tags. You have to be efficient in solving the tags. You have to listen to the operations requirement. You have to understand your assets and do the FIMEAs and do your maintenance plan. So this is one example that we have to correct and do the basics right to start improving this. Some people were very focused in the SMRP certifications. Of course, the certification is also an Ingredion to a higher level, but they must be aware that there's a basic to be done. If you don't do these basic things, you won't be able to reach this high level. In Argentina, we were just before I start, we were with SKF support on this implementation of reliability. After 4 months, I have to break the contract and say, okay, guy, I'll do with the guys, because lots of basic things were not done before, and the guys were talking about creating a very sophisticated maintenance procedure for an equipment that stops each 3 years, but they didn't have a preventive calendar and say, this is the formal moment of stop the assets and execute the maintenance plans. So it was very different in each country, but we start this standardization, and now the thing is a bit better. So much better, if I can say it this way.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, aside from operational challenges, Rafael, I understand that you face some cultural challenges as well. Would you mind discussing a little bit about that and what some of the, how you resolve those?
Yeah, yeah. It's like we have basically four countries. It's like we have Brazil, which speaks Portuguese. You have Argentina, Lima, and Colombia, they speak Spanish. There's difference between the Spanish there. There's a huge difference of culture between those countries. And inside Brazil, we have a very huge cultural difference between the plants in the northeast of Brazil, the plant in the Rio de Janeiro, the plant in the southeast, and the plant in São Paulo. So I was inside a very, very cultural mix, if I can say, soup. That's awesome because I learn a lot about culture. Uh, well, based on this, we had to communicate differently with each one. So it was one thing very challenging because communication is hard. It's hard in your language and it's hard in different language. So uh, we had to work on this. So I had to find my change agents to fomenting this cultural transformation and break the cycle of instead of being a maintenance area, the guys were used to be a repairing area. That's quite different. So first I had to bring them and show you, you're a maintenance area. And then I had to say, you're not just a maintenance area, you're a reliability area. So we have to understand that the continuous improvement mindset inside the maintenance, of course, in a very simple way, generates the reliability. So we had to work with engineering because in a very simple way, engineering give birth to reliability. If engineering makes a project with low reliability, I won't be able to raise this reliability without another project. I'll be able to maintain this low reliability, and this is a problem. And I had to educate the area, show the importance, bring someone to bring some people to work close to me to show the benefits, to challenge, to bet sometimes and say, if we do this way, we're gonna have this benefit. I'll show you. So this was a very, very awesome experience in all the company now sees the value of having the preventive maintenance implemented and some elements of reliability inside the project management. Now, for example, my projects are raising with the maintenance plans based on FIMEAs, and this is awesome. We did this for a biomass boiler, 40 tons per hour biomass boiler, a very huge equipment. And we basically, after 1 year, we didn't have reliability problems in this boiler. And it's awesome. It's unthinkable at this region 2 years ago. So it's like, I believe I go to the shop floor, I do together. You have to find out your partners in this business. My boss is a very good sponsor though. So that's a bit the way we manage this. And now there's some plant managers that they are getting inside the reliability program because they see this reliability program will bring peace to them.
Yeah, that's
Thank
amazing.
you. Romeo, I know you have a few questions for Rafael around implementation and results.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Boki. And thanks everyone for watching this. It's been a interesting conversation. And again, Rafael, thank you for taking the time with us. I know it's been a journey, right? So you've been doing digital transformation, continuous improvement for a long, long time, right? And I know there's a lot of customers out there that we have, and a lot of companies facing the same challenges, the same problems when it comes to implementing those things. But we understand that you did a great job in Ingredion. Can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, for sure. My background it was constructed by the time I was working at the brewery. The planning process, it's very important in this journey. If you go to the book, some book says each $1 you spend in preventive maintenance, you save $4 in reactive maintenance, in breakdowns or something like that. And I always believe in this. So when we start the journey here and showing this potential benefit, I had to look at my numbers and say, okay, if we implement this program, I'm going to have this X million dollars saved. It's the size of opportunity. And when you say the size of opportunity in terms of dollars, the boss gets attention. You get the attention from the boss on this. And we were living in a very reactive way. And sometimes it's hard to commit yourself with some numbers because you're a maintenance manager, you have a huge backlog. Someone is asking you to paint something, to construct something, to do something, and it's kind of hard to commit yourself with some numbers. Say, look, I have my maintenance cost is this one. I have 80% of reactive maintenance. If I bring this to 80% of preventive maintenance, my maintenance cost will reduce 50%. It's hard to commit yourself because you have this backlog. And we really do this management here. And of course, we have the maintenance package and say, now with this, for the goal next year, I could beat this. But I have this in my background. I have infrastructure. I'm paying the price of the past of bad maintenance, bad operations, or bad engineering, and you have to solve your backlog. And it's a process because more and more, when you implement a reliability program, you start to spend your money in infrastructure things and improvement maintenance. You bring to another level. So you reduce the breakdowns and the reactive maintenance, you increase the preventive maintenance, and then you start to spend a little bit more infrastructure and improvement maintenance. So the problem is it's about belief, understanding, commit. So this is a bit what I did.
It's interesting you've mentioned that, right? Because you have, if you think in a company that's working more reactive than proactive, right, or preventive way, you have so much backlog, you have limited resources, and you are so down into those problems. How can you step back and say, okay, let me think forward, right? So how can I change my process to be more proactive? And that is, I think, when the planning and scheduling process come into play, right?
Yeah, that's a problem. When you're in a very reactive, you are unable to see your problem. You don't know the size of a problem. That's the worst thing a manager can be at. So that's a problem, because you don't see the size of your problem. You don't see your backlog. You're not using SAP. You don't have the information. You don't have computers for technicians to report the issues, the notifications. So you don't have information. If you don't have information, you're not able to take decision. Just simple like that. And here's some benefit of having information inside the SAP. When you have information in SAP, you're able to direct your reliability team to work upon your losses, your main problems, your bad actors, or your main activity that spends lots of money. So here's the thing. You have first to understand that you need to see your problems. And lots of people who works with maintenance and reliability, they spend all their life and they don't see their problems. And they're not aware that they are not able to see the problem. This is interesting, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. So shifting the gears here a little bit. So talk to us about the project itself, right? How was that project? What is the project that you've done for? I understand it was more than planning scheduling itself, right? Walk us through that, please.
Yeah. First, it's important to understand that you have to construct a reliability process. You know, in this reliability process, there is inefficiencies, and you have to understand these inefficiencies and bring solutions to minimize those inefficiencies. I always had two inefficiencies that really annoyed me. That's, first of all, wow, the technicians is 1 mile away from the shop floor and he sees a problem and there's no computer nearby him. And this guy is working and doing lots of things. And by the end of the day, this guy returns to the shop floor. And sometimes there's a bunch of people in a line trying to use a computer to report one notifications that takes about 3-5 minutes. I don't know. I don't remember, but IW21 and you go to report this notification, you take 5 minutes. So it's the end of the shift. This guy started, it's part of the human nature, guys. Lots of things and informations and problems are missing in this step. So the guy doesn't report the issue, doesn't report the notification, and takes the problem with him to his home and sleeps and forgets, and tomorrow is another day, and tomorrow is going to break down, or 2 days or next week is going to break down. And I always knew about this, that's an efficiency. And that's why I seek the mobile solution, because if you're a technician, you are in the shop floor, you see a problem, you go with 2 clicks and take a photo, report a notification, record an audio. The problem is this, I must do that. I need this resource. And okay, when this guy connects to the network, or if your plant has full Wi-Fi, excellent. But when this guy reports this notification and connects to the network, it goes to SAP, and the planner is right there and receiving the information. And when you have a very good level of technician, the more mature technicians, they used to report the notifications already planned. They save lots of time for the planners. And it's quite easy to this guy to do this, you know, in that now everyone has a smartphone and are able to play with applications. And then you made the technician's life easier. And this bring information with quality for taking decision. This is the most important. So this is one thing that really used to bother me by the time I was maintenance manager. Another thing is the planning process, because using SAP, and you know, I came from brewery, and the market in the brewery changed a lot, especially here in Brazil. We have returnable bottles, which make the things much more complex. And it's like the S&OP process is always varying. And it's like, for example, right now, the volumes here in Brazil for everything are exploding in all supply chain, in all industry. Who would think this 6 months ago? And this process of planning and scheduling was very inefficient. Maintenance, it's a very flexible and it's like maintenance. When you have a problem in the plant, you can count on maintenance. Maintenance will solve this quickly, your problem. You cannot count, for example, with engineering. There's a process of studying the project. Maintenance, you are able to repair sometimes and start to produce again in a very quickly way. But maintenance was not flexible in terms of planning and scheduling, especially scheduling. And sometimes the scheduling production plan program always changed in the Friday afternoon, you know, and the scheduling comes like crazy, have to come to the plant on the Saturday to change his scheduling. And using SAP, this guy worked 2 days to do the weekly scheduling. It changes, and now in 6 hours on the Saturday or 8 hours on the Saturday, the guy has to redo this again. So it's a loss of time. It's a loss of work hand productivity. It's like it's always annoyed me this, and then the schedule is not good. You miss a lot of things, so you basically miss the next week because you won't be efficient. The scheduling will be missing lots of things. The odds of happening something bad is huge because you're changing. Sometimes this technician who was assigned to do this text is out of the job, and you had to do this job with another person who has not the same skills, and this is recipe to failure. So this is a bit the two things that annoyed me, and I went to seek solution for this, and this comes the planning scheduling solution. A lot of people think of the planning process just to take the maintenance plan and plan it, or just to take a notification and plan it. But the planning process is much more broad than this. You have to plan your resource. You have to plan your vacations calendar. You have to plan together with S&OP. You have to plan together with operations. You have to understand your resource. You have to understand your skill metrics in order to associate the right tasks to the right people and prevent failures mode made by tasks mistakes. So the planning process is much more complex than what you see in the books.
It's almost like a crazy complex puzzle, right? That you have to get all the parts and try to figure out how to put it together, right?
Yeah, for sure. And to make more complex, there's a matter of money. You plan and you have to see if you have money to do this. So, and how you're gonna raise funds to do this. So the planning process is much more complex. One example I used to talk about planning with the guys from Colombia, and they have a very strong knowledge about eyeballs and planning and all the bonds and all the things. But when you say, okay, let's put in the timeline, let's look at the next 3 months, let's see the availability of your assets, let's see if you have time enough to deliver your product and to stop your assets, if you have human resource to execute the tasks, if you doing this, you're going to reduce your needs in hiring contractors to do your job. It's like, wow, we don't have this. We
Would you
have the
say
work
that
orders planned.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's an interesting conversation. It's been so, I'm sure a lot of people watching this right now are looking to their daily routine and kind of relying to what you're talking about, right? Do you see, based on what you mentioned, like the mobile piece is like the foundation so you can get the correct data, so then you can plan more effectively? Is that something you had in mind when you were?
For sure. If I report the issues correctly with more information, I'll be more efficient in planning this. But it's a part, because you're reporting issues that basically comes from your maintenance plans, and there's a part of planning the maintenance plans, and there's a part of on distributing your maintenance plans and your backlog in all year long. And that's the key of success, because you're doing this because you have to optimize your asset utilization. You want to minimize your contractors hiring to do the tasks. You want to create your preventive maintenance calendar. And with this management, you want to say to SNOP, guys, look, this is what I need for next year or in the next 12 months. This is a dream for SNOP. Someone from maintenance says to SNOP, look, this line here, I'll need 12 hours in the last week of the month, each 2 months. And the guys has time to plan itself, to planning the production, to construct the inventories, and to do those things, you know. This is one way of reducing your maintenance costs, especially reducing your contractors in the plant. Because when you don't have this, it's like sometimes you have to take advantage when something stops or you don't have a formal process for this. You have to have lots of contractors inside the plant, and you stop 12 hours for some demand problem, and lots of people there working. You don't control everything, and the plant starts again after 5 days because there's a lot of problem, was not well planned, and you're in a problem, bro.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So let's talk about the process of going to the route of selecting a system and going through the implementation. I understand this is not your first rodeo. You've done this before Unilever, before Ingredion. You did that in Unilever, so you were looking for I think mobile applications there. So and also you were the first, and as far as I know, at Ingredion to leverage this concept, right? And it started in Brazil. Then you had to engage IT to make this effective for Brazil. But IT, and in case of Ingredion, they got into play really, really well because they were thinking like global. We want to do something global, so they got the ownership of that, right? And then after everything they sorted out, they went back to you and say, okay, you can do the pilot, and then we're going to roll out across the globe using you as the reference. So there's a lot of moving pieces there. Can you add some more color to that, please?
Yeah. First, first at Unilever, we were searching the solution in order to make the life easier for the technicians and free time to them to do more tasks, and of course reducing my needs of contractors. So the guys were spending 30 minutes per day doing the SAP things. It's not good. By the time I had, I don't know, 70 technicians or 60 technicians, if you put it in a daily days, it's a lot of time. And my backlog was a very good backlog. So we had the culture, due to world-class manufacturing, we implemented very well. We had the culture of all the operators reporting tags and all the technicians. So it was about 2,000 tags per month. And it was a very, very huge number. And if you put the amount of this 2,000, 3,000, it's a lot of time. And we started searching this. By the time I had to convince the company, and I did a proof of concept with SIGA using the mobile, and it was a very good experience for us, because the guys close the weekly scheduling. I call the guys and say, okay, you close, okay, reduce 20% of the time and put more work orders. And the guys say, no, the scheduling is very good. Okay, I'd rather that the work orders come back than miss work orders. Let's do this way. And the guys reduced the time, and we redid the scheduling and put in the hand of the guys for 1 week. And those guys execute the 120% of the scheduling in 74% of their time. So wow, they have 26% of free time in a weekly basis. So that's what my proof of concept has shown me. And it was amazing, because I was in a mature level of world-class manufacturing. I had the right people in the right place. I had very good engineers doing the planning and scheduling. We had the preventive maintenance execution culture, and even though we had this huge gap in what I should be,
it's like
I was doing.
I'm sorry again. Again, this is an interesting conversation, so I can help myself. It's interesting that you're saying you have a very good mature maintenance process in place, and still you got a lot of improvement there. So I imagine what that can do with the companies that don't have that mature process in place. So the improvement probably is bigger, right?
Yeah, for sure it's bigger, and we were able to notice even some surprise, the time the guys were missing doing the pickup of the spare parts in the inventory room. We used to lose lots of time in this because the guys cannot take all the spare parts and leave with and go to the plant floor with the spare parts. So these guys were doing the task and back to the inventory room and take the things, and of course we had a peak in place, but not everything fits in the picking place, especially the big parts. So we had the opportunity there, and was clear that we had the opportunity there, but we didn't know the size of this opportunity, and the mobile brought this to us. And then I brought this to Ingredion, and I always understand there's just two problems: in identify correctly the loss and the planning process. And by the time in Ingredion, I was very convicted that I had to have both solutions, the planning scheduling and the mobile. By the time Unilever was just mobile, but when I came to Ingredion, I went to the planning scheduling solution because we have what we call long-term planning, mid-term planning, and short-term scheduling process. Short-term scheduling process is the weekly base, the mid-term is 3 months, and the long-term is 1 year. And we need a solution to do this that help me with the short term, especially due to the change of the production plan. 3 months, the date that I'm going to execute those tasks. This is important. And to make it easier for the planners construct all this process. And I had the opportunity to know your planning schedule solution, and I see all the potential benefits, the artificial intelligence, the skill metrics, things that I really believe. And that's why in Ingredion, we work with both solutions.
So let's shift once more the gear here. So you've done planning and scheduling and mobile together, right? What were the results? Because for example, I know we were talking the other day about the range time, right? And you have a different way to calculate range time than other companies do, right? But it seems like you're more focused on activities that add value. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. Basically is important. First thing is the same resource that will be dedicated to both solutions or not. So in some plants here, and it was my mistake, the same resource was designated to work in both solutions, and it's impossible to work with it. So I had to stop one, the planning scheduling, and implement mobile and move to planning scheduling. So in my pilot, I had 2 different teams working both solutions. So I have some planners work and some other planners working in the mobile. And this process was good. It's like the report of notifications more than double sized, especially the notifications that came from the technicians. And what we were taking about 2 days, 1.5 days to do the weekly scheduling, now we got in 2 hours. So my schedulers are taking 2 hours to close the weekly scheduling, which is awesome because this guy now is focused on maintenance improvement, on reviewing with the reliability engineering, the maintenance plans, or bringing some providers to knowing different spare parts that will extend the life cycle of the asset, working with some improvements and cost reduction. This is good. We are getting maturity. Our biggest plan here is facing this, and we're reaching a very good level of execution. Is still pending improve the skill metrics, but it's one thing that's with us, so it's depending on my team. So doing this, we'll be living almost in a dream, if I can say this way, for this step of scheduling and midterm.
Okay, I see I want to leave some time, gentlemen, for Q&A. I see some questions coming in, but Rafael, I would like to just ask you, what would you say to other customers about your main learnings on this process?
I think this is the most important thing, and if I can drop my message here, is if you want to improve, you want to identify your losses correctly, period. This is my key message. Regarding to those who want to implement a solution, it's important the assessment that SIGA or who wants implement a solution to you, your assessment with your IT area, because demands a lot from IT. It's not demanding a lot, but IT has a job to be done during this implementation. If they are not together with you, you won't be able to implement the solution. So
probably if they're not together with you, they're gonna be against you, right? If you don't engage them at the right time.
Yeah. But hardly ever they'll be against, because all the companies are talking about the 4.0, you know?
Right.
And this is one thing in the 4.0. You have artificial intelligence, you have mobility. All the IT area is seeking for those solutions to implement. Now they are taking passion for this. You know?
I was kind of joking, but I imagine the IT has a lot of projects, and if you don't engage them early enough into the process, when you need that to happen, it's not going to happen. It's going to put in a queue because they were not informed. For example, in your case, how much time did it take for you to make this fly in Ingredion?
Well, I presented in February 18 and we implemented in August 19, 1 year and a half. And showing lots of benefits, for example, the printing benefits. So IT used to respond for the printing costs, paper and the printing thing. So even showing those benefits to IT, less computers spread all over the plants, which needs to be replaced in a period base. We had to have lots of arguments and discussions to do this, especially because my IT wanted a global solution. So we had to do several steps on this. That's why it's truly important to have the potential benefits, financial benefits, in terms of everything. So increasing preventive, reducing reactive maintenance, reducing costs, increasing work hand productivity. So those things are truly important.
Thank you. I think at this time, let's open it up for some Q&A, because we do have quite a few questions coming in. We'll try and get to as many as we can. If we are not able to answer your questions, if you could please just leave your email address and we will definitely follow up with you after the webinar. Rafael, here is one. Was there any resistance in implementing planning and scheduling?
I don't know specifically. If the question is for internal or external, but we have some resistance for planning scheduling. Some guys used to use another solution. They didn't understand the concept of artificial intelligence, and when they just understand the full benefit of the solution is when the things start changing. So yes, we had some resistance. That's why you need the change agents. Resistance is part of the human nature. You have to find out your change agents to do this process. And of course, there's people on your team that loves change, and the people, they don't love change because this guy has to learn something new. Will take some pressure to make it works, and of course, it's a process, but not very relevant or something that put some stones in the project. No, it's a normal resistance, especially in the beginning because it's not well configured. So you're generating double work for this guy because he's planning and he tries to plan, but there's something misconfigured and the planning doesn't come the way it should be. So, but it's part of the process. Okay.
Right.
I see more questions coming in on the Q&A chat, Buki. Just to make it clear, everyone, you're going to get a copy. Everyone that is attending is going to get a copy of the recording session, you know. And if you are not attending through Zoom, you can email to us, and we are going to post also a link where you can have access to that.
Yes. We have another question. Who's assessing the work orders to the techs, planning and scheduling, or supervisors?
Well, for here in Ingredion is schedulers. This is a scheduling process. So what happens is during the scheduling meeting, the supervisors previously prioritize the works to be done, and of course we have the resource, and the scheduler comes with a pre-scheduling for the meeting. It presents to the operations manager, and then we have the agreement for the next week. But the supervisors basically he criticizes the scheduling of the scheduler. To assign the work order to technicians used to be, at least where I work, and at least what I understand for this process is a scheduling process, and the scheduler should do this. So if the scheduler is not scheduling the work orders, what is he doing? Because the supervisor is there to make the supervision of the execution tasks. So you're basically you have the planning, you have the scheduling, and you have the execution. My supervisors used to be focused on execution. The problem is you have a weak planning process that reflects on the scheduling process, and these guys is suffering the execution. And these guys has to return to the planning process sometimes in the scheduling process to assure that he will not suffer next week. And you're getting in a very dangerous cycle because the supervisors is doing the scheduling jobs, the scheduler function. And who is doing the supervision function? The supervisor should be there looking, helping the technicians, seeking for opportunities to do the tasks in a very cheaper way and faster way. Always. And without mistakes. So this is my concept.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we do have some other questions, but unfortunately we are at the top of the hour. So we will respond back to all of the questions offline. Rafael and Romeo, on behalf of everyone here, we'd like to thank you for a great conversation, sharing your insights, and we look forward to continuing our partnership. And audience, please remember, as a thank you, we'll be sharing a case study about cost reduction and streamlining asset management operations. So please make sure to download that. Romeo, I'll turn it over to you to close up.
Yeah, thanks, Boki. Rafael, I cannot thank you enough for everything you've been doing. I mean, you've been a great partner and enthusiast on the digital transformation as a whole. And thank you once again for your time. It's been a pleasure to have this conversation. I would stay another hour if we could, you know. I think we lost. There we go.
Thank you for this invitation. It was a pleasure for me. Very nice talk to you. I hope I has helped the guys presenting this live, take some doubts, clarify something, and let's go in this journey, this continuous improvement journey. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a blessed day.